everything that we have, from like astrology to all of these different things, I want people to understand, and this is my belief, it's all a permission slip, right? So if I have crystals, right? Crystals, it may work for me. If I believe it will work for me. But if someone else has crystals and it doesn't work for them, it's not going to work for them. So I use all of these as guides, and I believe in all that stuff because I'm open to the possibilities. So yes, I would like to know my three spiritual guides, gifts. Like, what is it? But people have to understand it's not going to define you, though, right?
Yeah.
It's
Build $1 million legacy with purpose.
Hello, Facebook, YouTube community, all of the people who are watching us today. Once again, I want to welcome you back to another episode of Build $1 Million Legacy with Purpose. And I have an amazing guest for you today. I'm excited. Like, I was going over his stuff and I got excited all over again. I must have met him probably, it's been a couple of years now, but this is none other than the amazing Joe Frazier Jr. He is a premier transformational coach, a premier transformational speaker, and a premier transformational leader. And he's a CEO, a philanthropist, he's a husband, he's a father, and he is totally amazing. So I want to introduce you to him today, and we're going to have a real conversation about moving legacy forward.
yes.
So say
Well,
hi to our guest.
hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on. I'll throw in there, just recently added boxing promoter as well with my wife. So we're doing big things. And as you said, moving the legacy forward. My whole mission of all of this, being the son of Smoke and Joe Frazier, is creating my legacy while continuing his, keeping his legacy alive. Transformational coaching. I want to simplify that even more for me, because I know a lot of people get confused with transformational coaching. Like, are you working on the body? What are you working on? Mind, body, and soul. But my whole purpose is to create your self-awareness, raise that up, and also give you clarity from where you are to where you want to be so you can become your best version. So that is a simple way of saying what I do with you guys. Everybody is different. And it's like, let's identify where you are now and let's help you get to where you want to be. And the only thing that I ask of my clients is that they're open to all the possibilities, they're coachable, they listen, and they take action. And that's it. So I don't ever want to make it, because I'm the type, I'm like, how can I simplify it? How can I just break it down so everybody can understand it? And that's the best way. We all have different struggles we're going through, different problems, but we also have different missions. So we talk, we connect, and that's what it's all about.
I think that's amazing. But what's more amazing is how you got there, Joe. You are the son of the incomparable Smoking Joe Frazier.
Yes.
Oh my God. So let's take us back a little bit. Like, wait, like where did that begin for you? How do you get to where you are now from growing up under that legacy of what he gave to you? Like, when did it click for you?
Right. I would say probably in my teens because, I've always known the significance of who he was, but obviously to me, that is my father. So just like anybody else's father, it's not that big of a deal, but I understand his accomplishments and more so the person he was. And I say, giving me the name for me was the biggest thing he could have ever done because of the name he left, right? So he put in his work in doing the characteristics and being the great person that he was for me to be able to continue that legacy that he created, but giving me the permission to do it my way. And the irony of that is one of the songs he remade of Sinatra was My Way. He had the lyrics done for him. My father was a singer as well as a boxer. And did he do it the best? I don't know, but he did it. So, but one thing about that song and how I listen to it differently than I did before is I'm really digesting the lyrics of him saying, listen, sometimes I bit off more than I could chew, but I always did it my way. I fought the way I wanted to fight. And that's something that my mother had to reiterate to me not too long ago to say, hey, listen, no matter what you do, just make sure you do it your way because you never want to fail and have to look back and say, I didn't do it my way. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to fail the way you want to do it. But from a teen, I looked at everything and I said, well, at the end of the day, what do I want to do? And the fight and the struggle that I always had internally was thinking that I had to live up to his shoes, that I had to be as great as he was in boxing, not even just being great, but in boxing. And it took me a long time and throughout the process, as we talked about before going live, the process of seeing the evolving happen where it's like, no, Joe, you don't have to be your father. You know, he left that for you to get you in the doors for you to be who you need to be. You know, and it took some time. I would probably say if I had to pinpoint an exact age, maybe about 15, 16, because that's when I started to get directly into the personal development. I did landmark education. I went to several Tony Robbins events, Les Brown, stuff like that, listening to audios back in the day. So that's when it really started to click. But even then, I still had a lot of work to do. So my tagline is always inside of us all, we have a fight that we have to face, and we have a fighter that we have to embrace. Because all of us have both of those things. The problem with a lot of people is they're not connecting and embracing the fighter. They know they have to fight, but then they're like, I don't have that fighter, or I can't dig deep enough to find the fighter to move forward, to continue to do what I want to do, to be the person I want to be and do it my way. You know, that's somebody's always clicking to look what this person's doing it this way and they're doing it that way. But it's like, no, find your way, embrace those and take those suggestions, but ultimately put it all together and do it your way.
So when you say find a fighter, do you think we, as growing up, we have several contenders that we have to choose like from that are within us? We have to choose who's going to be the main ticket for us and who's going to carry us through, who's going to allow us to, as you say, create a distinct path so you can move the legacy forward while preserving where it is you came from. So the question is, how do we choose the contender, that that fighter that is, because we have more than I think
Yeah.
this is like
Yes, we do.
amongst like what we naturally have, there are people hitting us every day with things that we may take on and it may not be our fight.
Mhm.
So how do you choose?
The answer I give you now, knowing what I know, you know, you always say, oh, if I knew that back then, boy, if I knew what I knew now, it's a very simple answer. You really only have one true fighter. You really only have one. There are different aspects of you. I see what you're saying. But when you embrace and you start with the fact that you really only have one fighter inside of you, all right? And you really only have one fight you have to face. Now, I get it. There's multiple things you have to deal with, and there's multiple aspects of yourself, like really different personalities. Sometimes you got to be the bad guy or bad woman, that sometimes you got to be the good person, but it's all relative. It's all subjective to how you see yourself. But once you can, and this is my philosophy, once you can gather and say, hey, listen, this is all me, you know, because for example, I'll give you this example. If you do something and somebody says, oh, well, that's wrong, you were bad about that. It's like now you start to you feel bad about yourself. You get down, you get depressed, you worry, you know, anxiety. But when you embrace both sides of it and know that, like you're saying, you have to be different aspects, and that's okay, but understand that it's all you. So I would have to say, in order to choose, first, you just got to know there's only one person. And then you can dive into who do I have to be right now in this space, not going outside of who I am, but understanding that I have different aspects. Like for me, sometimes a struggle, to be personal, is to be that confrontational person, that person that will say, hey, listen, no, it's not going down like that. Right. But sometimes you do have to be that person. But I don't always like confrontation, ironically enough, coming from the boxing era. But it's more so, I just want to create a peace, but I understand seeing some of the darkness out there sometimes, embrace that. Sometimes you got to go in there and meet them where they're at, but not get outside of your character of who you really are, if that makes sense.
That makes sense because character is so important, and you're right. In that there's only one fighter because we were created for a purpose, and that purpose is our fighter. Like
Right.
there is no, I mean, according, if I think about God, he has no ambiguity in what we were created for. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to
Right.
uncover that fighter, that purpose for how we're going to move forward. And oftentimes times I think, especially when you're a lot younger, you're looking at what really works well for you and comparing it. Somebody else may be doing the same thing. You see it as the same thing, but you
Right.
have your own uniqueness on how you need to carry that thing out, and not to be ashamed of it, that since someone else is doing it, this must not be for me.
Right, right. And one of the things that it says very specific in the Bible is judge not. And that goes for yourself, not just for others. It goes for yourself. Don't judge yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Embrace all different aspects. And if you truly embody the mantra that it's all working for your good, then you really wouldn't judge it, right? But a lot of times we say we believe that, but we don't really believe that. So if you embody that, that's really the simplicity of it, is judge not.
So that's so good, Joe, because that brings me to when you talking about connecting, to connect, what do you say? You said connect, close, and clear the gap.
Right.
That's good, because in order to do that, identity played such a huge role, right? So how do we begin to have better conversations with ourselves about who we are?
Right. Well, two things, your beliefs and your definitions. So everything is shaped by those two things. What you believe in and how you define it. And let me give you an example. If you call me crazy, right? And my definition of crazy is amazing. As my father-in-law always said, everything's the opposite. Somebody says something is crazy, it's really amazing, right? But if I see it and define crazy as something great, and my belief in that, then I'm okay with that. I can move forward still to get to where I'm trying to get to. But if you call me crazy, my definition behind that is one that leaves me in a state where something's wrong with me, then that belief has me in that struggle, right? So it all starts with checking your beliefs and your definitions. And one exercise you can do for that is, let's say I ask you, Marnita, do you believe you can make $200 in a day? Now, if you can unequivocally, all right, so you can unequivocally say, yeah, I can do that, with no pause, hesitation, your belief is strong in that area. You believe you can do that. So you're strong there. But now if I say, Marnita, you think you can make $1 million in 2 weeks?
You know, I would answer that a lot slower.
Right, right. So it's like you got to think, and it's not, and again, everything I teach and coach on is with no judgment. So I have to put that out there. It's like, because you hesitated doesn't make you wrong, right, bad, or good. It's just self-aware that, listen, I pause and hesitate a little bit. So my belief is not that strong. All right. So the belief is not strong. Now we go to the definitions and we say, all right, what definitions do you have in your life that is causing you to believe that you can't make that? Because you know there's people who are doing it, right? You know for a fact there's people who are doing that. So there's some self-limiting belief that you have that is stopping you from making that $2 million in 2 weeks. And
How do
that's
you get to that limit? Because it's so insidious. Like I would say most time we don't even know that we have this limiting beliefs about our potential. How do we begin to, like, why am I thinking this way? Because it's mindset, right? And that mindset is dynamic. Although a lot of people lives as though it's static.
right, right. Well,
So
we have
how do we get, see, that's why you need, listen, y'all. Listen, that's why you need a coach, because our coach, I know, Pastor Darius, you can't see yourself by yourself.
right, right. And you can, and if I was right in front of your face, I couldn't see you very clearly if I stepped back a little bit. So sometimes that's what we have to do with ourselves, and we have to step outside of ourselves to be able to see ourselves. And that's what's changed for me, is to be able to step out and say, listen, I'm not judging. I'm just being self-aware. I know everybody has a game. We all have a game that we're playing. So my mission is never to try to change somebody's game to my game. It's just to make them aware of what game they're playing, and if they want to continue to play that game. So if I say, Marnita, you're gonna play football, American football, and you go out and try to kick the ball as if you're playing soccer football, and you don't know that you're playing that game, then I need to let you know. It's like, well, with this game, you're supposed to do it like this, and that's what's gonna happen. And you're like, and I'm going to ask you, do you want to still play that game? And you'll say, yeah, or, oh, I didn't know I was playing. No, I don't want to play that game. Well, there you go. That's where you start. So a lot of people don't know some of the definitions and some of the beliefs they have are playing a certain game that's going to get them a certain result. And once you're self-aware of that, that's where you start. So now we can identify, hey, did you know you're playing this game? No, I didn't. Okay, well, this is what's going to get you if you keep playing this game. Okay, do you want to play that game? No. All right. So what do you want to play? Where do you want to be? I want to be here with this and having this and be able to accomplish this. Or I just want to have a piece of peace and not be so judgmental. Okay, so this is the game you have to play. Here's the rules to this game. And I show them a different game to play. And then obviously with any game or anything in life, consistency, right? There'll be setbacks, but the setbacks are only just setbacks to set you up for a good comeback, right? So it's just everything is a game. And when I realized that, and when I started embodying that, you know what, don't be so serious. Like I laugh, like you see my videos, I laugh and joke about everything.
Yeah, you do. It's okay to make up the rules as we go, right?
Yes, yes.
And so
Because
I think people as a whole have a hard time with that. Like, I can't make up my own rules for this game because one, it's never been modeled to me, because most times where people are meant to go, it has not been modeled for them. So they're making up the rules literally as they go.
right, right.
So being able to get comfortable with making up your own rules, like there's an obstacle that needs to be overcome, right?
Right.
Is that obstacle limiting beliefs also?
The obstacles are what you make it, but obstacles, understand, are still opportunities.
Opportunities,
So
yeah.
it's still,
Say that, wait a minute, yeah, say that one again. Like,
the
I think
obstacles are still opportunities. The only difference between the two is how you see it. You know, I may go into a hair salon or a spa and be like, I don't know how to do this. But you may be like, well, that's an opportunity for me to show you, or that's an opportunity for you to learn it, right? Two people who lose their job, one's going to say, oh, I'm never going to find another job. This was a waste of time. I'm broke, yada, yada. The other person says, oh, great. Well, I didn't really too happy at that job, or this is an opportunity for me to find a better job, you know, and I know I'm going to find it. So one sees it as an opportunity, one sees it as an obstacle. But I wanted to go back to what you said before, as far as making it up, right? The rules of the game and all that. Who are the best people that know how to imagine and make stuff up?
we are kids, kids, kids,
Yes, there you go.
kids, kids,
There
and
you
we
go.
lose that.
Yes, we do. We
We
lose that
lose that.
all the time. We lose that. So you have to just go back to being a kid. And somebody, well, my kid life wasn't the best. That's irrelevant. Go back to the mindset of before you knew what you knew now, because it works for both ways. So you can say, I can go back if I knew what I knew now. But also, if you didn't know what you knew now, you played the kid, you'd have a better time making up this game of life for yourself. See what I'm saying? So just go back to start with being a kid, like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we laugh at that when we ask an adult that. But seriously, what do you want to be? Because there's no time frame. Everything is made up. Your age, your name, it's all to
Everything.
identify yourself. So go back to the drawing board. I don't know who said it. It wasn't me originally, so I'm not gonna take credit, but they said what was the phrase? Give me a second. It just escaped me. I'll put it this way. Life is like an empty canvas, right? So everything is made up. The only thing that you have in life is what you make it to be, or something like that. I'll send it to you. I know you probably know it if I said it, but that's the whole construct of everything, is that it's a blank canvas. Like you start fresh all the time.
So that's interesting. So you work with, so you work with individuals, teams, and companies.
Yes.
Okay. I know for myself, oftentimes when I ask people, so what do you want?
Mhm.
Or even let's go back to what do you want to be?
Right.
What do you want? What do you want to be? It is such a pull to get people to articulate that. It's like it's this blankness that comes over them.
Mhm.
And very rarely have I gotten a response, probably maybe 5% out of, like 1 out of 10, like say even a half of one out of 10.
Right.
Okay. are able to say what they want. How can we coach people to be unafraid to say what they want? Because they know, because when people say, I don't know, like, yeah, you know, you just don't want to say. So how can we get people to say, to get comfortable with saying once we get grown? Because kids have, like you say, they have no problem in telling you what they want. How can we get grown folks to say what they want?
Redefine your definitions, because of just what you said right now, grown folks, adults, they feel like once you hear adult, once you hear I'm older, once you hear I'm grown, you start cutting off things that you feel you can do or feel like you can be. That's what I'm saying. Like, even, I had to catch my wife one time. She's like, well, I'm 40 now. I don't know if I should have any more, because they say at 40. I said, who said that? Oh, well, doctors and everything. I said, okay, but I mean, do you know anybody that's 40 and had a kid? And if okay, so why can't you use that one testimony? Why can't you use that one person that you know as an example that it's possible? And that's what I mean, being open to all the possibilities. Cut off the stinking thinking, cut off what we know. And it's funny you bring that up, because I had to talk to one of my daughters the other day, and she's like, yeah, well, I don't know if I can do this because that, and this and that. And you're always going to have people around. My hardest thing is trying to coach them and try to be the father and try to instill in them what I want, but then they go out and somebody debunks the whole thing. So it's like coming back. So I never, even when it comes to, I'm going off topic here, but when it comes to something like bullying, I don't try to attack the bullying. I try to coach my daughters on how to handle it and how they can minimize it by working on themselves, because I can't be with them wherever they go. But if I can instill in them the morals and the foundation of how to handle it, and that they're more than whatever they're dealing with, then I can at least be secure that they'll be able to be guided in the right direction and not do something like a suicide or stuff like that. Come back and tell me what's going on, and let's talk about it and dissect it. I lost where you get asked me. I ain't gonna lie to you.
No, actually, that's a perfect segue, because I'm about to ask you. I watch you on social media often, and you have this amazing queen.
Yes.
Y'all have daughters. You have all girls.
Yes.
So how like, you are in a house full of estrogen, right?
Oh man. Well, hey, listen,
Tell us what's that's like for you.
it's for me, it's beautiful, because even though my father being smoking Joe Frazier, listen, I grew up with a lot of females. My mother, my grandmother was always around, my aunt, so it was cool. I really think I manifested it. I'll be honest with you. I love having girls. Yes, I would love to have a son, but timing wise, we're in a feminine energy space right now. We are, and it's not
Yes.
the construct of females, and that it's a different thing, but what females embody, that's where we're heading to. That's where we're at. But how it is, I mean, it's totally four different personalities. For my four daughters, my wife is awesome. I mean, she is the yin to my yang. I'm more of a thinker. She's more of a, hey, just get it done. While I'm analyzing, she's like, all right, I already did it. So we balance each other out. But we have my daughter Sage, named after Sage Wisdom. She's every bit of that. I mean, she dropped a gem on me the other day. I said, because we always say, hey, what's your sage wisdom for the day? And she said, well, Dad, a lie is only a lie until it becomes the truth. And I said, whoa.
How old is she?
She's 10.
Oh, Lord.
And I said, wow. I said, that's very profound. So I see the motivational speaker in her. I see how her face lights up when we have her stand in front of the living room and talk to everybody. We do little stuff like that. Now you have Faith, who is just, she's every bit of Faith. Like, she is very profound, but she is a nurturer. She's 10. She's cooking breakfast for us. She's watching baby Victory. I mean, she is just a nurturer, but she also has that spirituality where sometimes she'll come in and just say, Mom, clean your room, and just walk away. And it's like, it wasn't her, right? Not to go too deep, but it's like, whoa, what's going on? So that's Faith. They're both 10 years old. And then Destiny, who actually just got married yesterday, she is like big sister. She is everything to everything. So they're all different. Victory, she embodies all of them. Like, she's only 2. She was walking at 8 months. She was talking probably about 10 months. She's potty trained. And she just, I mean, her
Okay,
conversation.
so I am so sorry, y'all. Y'all know how technology works. We get into some really deep conversation about family. And so he was sharing with us about his daughters and how they're how they're expressing their own like way to moving into their own knowledge of self.
Right, right. So we have Sage for Sage Wisdom. We have Destiny, who's every bit of living her destiny, got married yesterday. We have Faith, who is all about faith, very spiritual, motherly. And then we have Victory, which is 2 years old. And we're very intentional with that name because we feel like we definitely got the victory with her. She is all of the complete package. I think she embodies all of her three sisters, and she had the luxury of learning from them as well. So she's very, very smart. I think that generation, the 2 year olds, I think they actually called them the alphas. So
Oh, is that what they call them? Okay.
yes, so this whole generation is like way beyond intelligence, spirituality, all of that stuff. She is very, very wise, smart, and everything. So the four personalities help me, and why I think I've manifested is because I've always said I wanted to just get to know everyone, be able to relate with everyone, and be able to connect, close, and clear the gap with everyone. So in doing that, they really are my first mentees. Like mentoring them, my wife, I do a lot of training with her as well. Because again, someone who just goes, 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 I'm like, wait a minute, let's think about it. So she teaches me like, no, sometimes you just have to take the action. You have to embrace that other side of yourself, like you said earlier. So the intentionality about the home life helps me in the work life and the coaching life.
Okay. So tell me about how do you primarily work with individuals? Because you're a coach, you're a
Right,
speaker, and you
right,
have this leadership, like you doing all three.
right.
So are you primarily working with individuals, teams, or companies, or a mixture of all three?
A mixture of all three. So I've done speaking engagements. So most of my speaking engagement, I love dealing with the kids, schools, teams, youth programs. I have ministered to churches. I've done business organizations on an individual basis. I'm open to everyone, and I do a lot of that on my day to day, like picking up people on their schedules. We do hour sessions. We always start with a discovery call, which is free to discover if we're both a good fit, if the synergy is there. For me, there's not a lot of criteria to work with someone. Just being coachable, listening, and being open to the possibilities. That's it. That's it. You know, everything is confidential, but I want them to open up to say, listen, I know how I used to do it, but I understand how I used to do it might not get me to where I want to be. So I'm
Mhm.
coachable in between to listen. And that's where we break down your beliefs, your definitions. We wipe the slate clean completely and we start fresh, and that's why you have to be open to that because like you said, when you get of a certain age, as we call it, you start losing that and start defining that I can only do this or that, when PD said you can be this and that.
And that.
Right.
Exactly. That's good. So in in the age in which we are like moving into or have been moving through as we see it, what have you found from individuals who they know they need to go to the next level? And I know you don't convince people, but they know they need to go to the next level, but they don't realize getting a coach is the way.
Well, I would say a part of knowing you got to get to the next level is knowing that you need a coach. I mean, so
I agree. But
so
there's like so many people who, and this is like, it get really is interesting to me is that so many people invest in so many things outside of themselves.
right,
They have this huge hurdle about coming to the awareness that they need to invest in themselves.
right.
So if you're like, are there signs for people who like maybe listening to us right now
Mhm.
and they know they're not getting all they want? Like, what can you share with them today that would flip a trigger for them, say, I need a coach?
Right. So I would say this, and going back to the not convincing, the first thing I would tell anybody to do, from my kids to anybody I'm coaching, is go sit with yourself. go sit with yourself. And I have my team here on earth, and I have my team here up in heaven. I call my spirit guys, right? It's a combination of a lot of people. The most influential ones I know, my father's up there, my father-in-law's up there. I can't get too deep into that, but I'll say this: alone and isolation is what people need some time to figure it out. Because I don't want to say they need something. You have to figure out, what do you want? Like, if you want that and you desire that, I'll show you how to get that. But I'm gonna never tell you you need it, because you might not need it. And I understand people are at different levels and they'll get to certain places at a certain time. And some people are just not ready. It's like, I've heard motivational talks before. And then I've heard another one, the same exact talk from somebody else. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Because it was my time to get it. Like, I've done work on myself and something clicked. And it wasn't that this person was a better speaker than the other one. It was just that I was ready to digest it. When I took landmark education, I can 100% tell you I wasn't ready. I went there, I digested a lot of information, but when it came to taking the action and doing what they told me to do, I'm like, that's uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. And I didn't do it. So I didn't get all that I could have gotten, but I got exactly what I needed to get at that time. So if you want to say, hey, what can I do, Joe, right now? Not knowing a coach, I may not have find any, go sit with yourself, close your eyes, visualize, talk to your higher self, and say, lead me. And that's what I did for a good 6 months. Even when I was in inner circle, I would sit there and say, God, open my eyes, ears, and hearts to the steps that you have ordered for me. Right. And the God for, and this is just my belief, I'm very intentional to tell people the God from within. Right.
Mm.
Because when we look to the sky all the time and we create that separation, that disconnect, as if God is just looking down. No, God is looking down, around, in you, all around you, right? It's the God within. So a lot of people comes to that belief. You have to start there and redefine what that is to you, and then talk to yourself, because yourself is listening, and see if that's the direction you need to go into.
I have a question for you. And I know you probably know it, because it's something we experienced when we were in the mastermind together. Do you know your top 3 spiritual gifts?
I do not. I actually do not know my top 3 spiritual gifts. And I would, going back, I would look into that. I'll say this to that. All right. So there was something that stuck with me in one of our inner circle classes we had. And I don't know if you remember, I specifically asked PD, I said, hey, listen, should I limit myself to just talking to Christians? And he, as great as he is, he adds a question back. Well, what do you feel, Joe? And I got something out of that question to show me a question can be answered with a question. Because what he did is, he didn't want to answer it for me. He wanted to see how I felt, just like I'm telling people go sit with themselves. So my answer was, no, I really don't, because I feel like I can talk to a lot of people. He says, that's what I feel too. So I say all that to say, everything that we have, from like astrology to all of these different things, I want people to understand, and this is my belief, it's all a permission slip, right? So if I have crystals, right? Crystals, it may work for me. If I believe it will work for me. But if someone else has crystals and it doesn't work for them, it's not going to work for them. So I use all of these as guides, and I believe in all that stuff because I'm open to the possibilities. So yes, I would like to know my 3 spiritual guides, gifts. Like, what is it? But people have to understand, it's not going to define you though, right? It's
Yeah,
just a permission slip to help you get to where you need to be. But yeah,
yeah,
I do want to know, because I'm always curious about that stuff too, to see. And I'm glad I didn't take it yet, because I want to see if what I think it is what it actually is, after I've done a lot of work on myself.
yeah, that's good. That's good. So I usually like to, I mean, you're such a wealth of information. So thank you for sharing. But I
Absolutely.
usually like to bring our conversations to a close, because people need to know, uh, with 3 questions. So the first question is, what is the favorite quote which inspires you when you feel you're not living at your highest level?
Allow yourself to be great.
I love that.
Just allow yourself to be great. And that really resonates with me, because for a long time I didn't allow myself to be great. And you can always be greater than you are. Be happy with where you're at. And I talk this on a personal level. So when I'm telling everybody this is because this isn't knowledge, this is wisdom. This is through experience, right? Appreciate where you are right now. Don't always look to where you got to get to, right? Don't look for, oh, what do I have to do next? What about right now? Where you are right now? Because where you are right now is exactly where you need to be. So love and embrace that moment. Because if you can't, you're always going to be looking, where do I go next? Got to get there next. Got to get there next. You get to one destination. Oh, yeah, but I got to get to you just got here. Relax, enjoy it. Like we talked about.
Enjoy it. We were talking about that before the show, right? We were
Yes.
talking about enjoying, like appreciating where you are.
Yes. Yes. I was thinking about that, and in retrospect too, you can't get to where you want to be trying to go through past situations. You can only do it through your imagination. That's why you have to, people, their reference point of now is always from where they've come from. Oh, well, I can't do this. My father didn't do this, or my mom didn't do, or this happened to me before. You can never get to where you're going thinking about that, because that's your old self.
Oh yeah.
We literally die on a figurative level, I should say, every day because you're somebody new. So embrace that. I appreciate everything that I had to experience, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here, and it wouldn't have tasted as good to be able to
Ooh,
get to where I'm going. But for
yes.
right now, I'm very grateful. I'm here with you. We're talking. This is going to empower somebody and change somebody's life. So I'm right here in this moment. So stay in the moment.
Did y'all hear that, y'all? He said y'all life's gonna get changed after this conversation today. So
100%.
expect it. Expectation is so powerful.
Right.
Expect it. Expect
Right.
that. Question number 2.
Mhm.
What is one book that has made a difference as you are living out your purpose?
I would say I'll go back to hmm, I would say Think and Grow Rich. That's always been my go-to. That was like the foundation that really started me when I got into personal development. That's still one of my best books. I'm more of like now an audio person, so I don't do as much reading, but that one resonates with me because I can always go back to it. That besides like being the Bible, and now
Yeah.
I've opened up to other stuff as well. But that one is just like I would tell somebody to start there as the foundation of changing your mindset.
Okay. And lastly, what tool do you use to continue to elevate and grow in what you have been purposed to do?
Tool. Now you mean like an app tool or just any type of tool?
It's your story. It's your tool.
That's good. That's good. It is my story. Let me think of the tool I would suggest to somebody. Honestly, it would be the tool of just, again, waking up, being intentional. So in the morning, afternoon, and the evening, I'm very intentional to be talking to my guides and asking them for direction. And I'm very playful with the guys. So this is one of the tools I would say. In the midst of doing that and talking to them, because you don't want to open up your phone, go to an email, check your text, nothing that could possibly trigger you, right? Especially if you're doing business. Always talk to your guides, talk to your God, talk to your higher power, whatever you call it. Talk to them, and talk to them in a manner that you would talk to your everyday folks. Don't get too, dear God. No. Hey, listen, I'm calling you today. Send me something. And I always say, hey, show me how great my life is. Go ahead and show me today. I dare you. Like I play games with them like that.
You have to have authority behind your questions.
Yes.
You're asking, you don't go begging and pleading. You need
Right.
to walk in your own authority because that's who he created us to be, right?
Right, 100%, 100%. And I personally, I'll be honest with you, I struggle with saying I command because I've never been that type of person. I've always please, thank you, the politeness. So that part I struggle a bit, but what I do say is, hey, I call on you today to show me how great my life is. Show me how everything is working for my good. And I say, be very clear. I'm like, I like clarity. So show me in a way that I'm going to understand. And I'm open to the possibilities. I'll get information from TikTok. I get information from someone on the street. Like I've gone up to
It
homeless
comes from
people
so many different places.
so
That
many different ways. And I'm telling you right now, in this time, I'm telling everybody this, and I just posted this today. Don't worry about what you have to stop doing, just focus on what you have to start doing. All right. And this is what I mean. So somebody
that
says, oh, I gotta stop eating like crap. Don't worry about that. Just start eating healthy, right? Because the
is.
manifestations in this time happen so quickly, and I see it every single day of my life. So it doesn't differentiate between what you don't want and what you do want. So only speak things that you do want. Don't engage in gossip, as hard as that sounds, because that's a little difficult for me too. But if you catch yourself, I'm telling you, because, and I heard this today, I actually heard it on TikTok. The guy said, he said, everybody you talk to is an aspect of you. So your mind cannot tell if you're talking to you or if you're talking to someone else. So if you're calling someone a name, and this is why I believe Jesus was saying,
Oh my God, that's so good. Say that again, Joe, because that what you just said is so good. Oh my God, say that one more time.
everybody you talking to is an aspect of you. And this is a part of the coaching and teaching is I believe nothing exists outside of you. So if you're like you said, this is your story, this is your movie, right? So if I'm talking to you and I'm talking negative or I'm talking a little greasy, my mind don't know I'm talking to you. My mind thinks I'm talking to myself. So therefore, that's going to manifest in my life. That's why Jesus said, forgive 777,000, because it doesn't know the difference. It doesn't, it's all you. So at the end of the day, you think you're talking bad on someone. You're talking, your mind saying, oh, that's what you want. And you're like, no, 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 no. I'm talking about, oh, I don't know that. I can only say yes, like a genie. I can only grant you your wishes, but I can't tell you what you don't want. So if you don't want it, don't say it. Don't speak it. So everybody's going to think something, right? That's just in our nature.
Mhm.
Nobody has to speak it. That's when it gives it more power. Writing it gives it even more power. Taking action gives it all the power. So if you don't want it, stop doing it. That's what Jesus was saying in a nutshell. Just love yourself and love thy neighbor as I love thyself, because your neighbor is you. And forgive them for they know not what they do, because what they do is just an aspect of you.
That's so good. Now that is like a purpose gem drop for real.
I've
Oh
been
my
working on
goodness.
myself. I'm telling you, it's all coming together. It is all, and this, like we said, the journey, the process, it's so awesome because I've been able to step outside of myself. I see it as a game. So I'm the character in the game, but I'm also the person controlling the game, with God being the one who created the whole game.
Talk about moving legacy forward. This has been an amazing conversation in spite of, the devil always try to get up all up and stuff, but he didn't win today.
No.
So I want to thank you for sharing all that you have with our listeners, and so they can experience what a transformation could possibly be for them.
Yes.
And how would they get in touch with you if they wanted to connect with you for coaching, speaking, and or leadership?
Yes, my main website is joefrazierjr.com. You can book a free discovery call on there. I'm on all the social media, Smoking Joe Jr. My TikTok is Joe Frazier Jr. But yeah, just reach out, DM me, call me, whatever. We'll book it, see if it's a good fit. But like I said, the requirements are very minimal. Just be open to the possibilities, be coachable, be willing to listen. And we're going to get you from where you are to where you want to be. You just got to believe it. It's really that simple.
He's filling the gap, y'all.
That's right.
He's
That's
helping
right.
you fill up the gap.
That's
So
right.
don't hesitate. Reach out for a discovery call, which is free, and I'll put all the links in the description and in the comment section. And talk about moving legacy forward. This has been amazing. So I leave you with all the gems that Joe Frazier Jr. has dropped on us today. And I can't wait for you to hear our next conversation, but this one has been absolutely amazing. Is there one word that you would like to leave for our audience today?
I'll say this in regards to also allowing yourself to be great. my mission in this is to help humanity, but to get everyone to be hooked on greatness, because that's what my father was. He was hooked on greatness. He embodied it in the ring, outside of the ring. So in the midst of allowing yourself to be greatness, then the next step is going to be, we're going to help you to be hooked on greatness so that you stay that way. And then obviously you always got to pay it forward. So pay it forward. And I got to share this. This is the last thing I share. So I said about the manifestations happening faster, and I did a TikTok the other day about new currency being love and light, giving to each other. And the fact that, yes, we're still gonna have to pay for things, but I've seen in my life now when I'm giving free sessions or I'll do a good deed, it comes back to me, right? Nothing new. But that same day I went to Wawa and I tried to get a large coffee and I was about 15 cents short. I was gonna run in the car and the guy was like, oh, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. Now, the old Joe wouldn't have, I would have said thank you, but I wouldn't have been self-aware. It's like, well, you just put that out there that the new currency is going to be love and light and giving back to each other. It's going to be like a one of who can give more type of deal. That was what I believe the currency is going to. And it happened that same, like within an hour of me doing it. So the intentionality to show you guys the power you have, that you can
It's
put that
real.
out there. Yeah, it's real. It's real. And it's happening a lot faster than you ever know it now. So take
You
advantage
just
of
have
it.
to be aware that
Yep,
it's happening, right?
that's it. That's it. Because then what you seek is seeking you.
Ooh, but you
And that's
see,
the game a lot of people don't know they're playing. So they say anything, but if you know you're playing,
I
watch
hope
the
y'all
game.
had y'all notepads, or at minimum, go back and rewatch this video because he has given you so much as far as you moving forward. So I thank you. I thank
Yes.
you again. And this is all about moving legacy forward. In order to our conversations are all under the umbrella of Build $1 Million Legacy with Purpose on P3 Purposepreneur TV. And at P3 Purposepreneurs, we are pattern makers, and pattern makers are move makers. And thank you for being one of our move
Oh,
makers.
absolutely.
See you
Thank you for
next
having
time.
me. You got an awesome show too. Awesome, awesome show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.